time.
Yeah.
Rest his soul, and he died in the ring doing what he loved.
And this got me thinking about NXT and how they want to do this global expansion program. They've been trying to go into Australia and Japan, and they got UK. But now they've made NXT the third brand, and it's no longer developmental. Doesn't that automatically throw this plan in the garbage? Because if it's not developmental, you can't have just 20 brands all over the world that are main roster brands, because apparently they're not developmental.
It really dilutes your product for sure.
Yeah.
It really doesn't help.
It's like even right now with NXT UK, it's like it's a painful position because the people on NXT are probably doing better than the people on NXT UK financially, even though it's still not much better than they were before.
Yeah, I honestly feel, and again, I don't work for a major company, never have, and I don't know anything about the business end of anything, but I would think you're better off having these developmentals all around and just having NXT.
Yeah, so change the name of everything else or something.
Yeah, or just be NXT Developmental UK, NXT Developmental Japan, NXT Developmental Mexico.
So then they got to get called up to NXT to enter into the fray or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. I just think it's funny that they would say it's the main roster now and then still try to set up shop in Japan. It just tickles my brain in that way. Well, production has begun on a new movie about Joni China Lawler, and it's not the kind of movie you're thinking.
Okay, that's good to know.
The press release claims this is the only official and authorized feature-length documentary on the former WWF Women's Champion and former WWF Intercontinental Champion. Authorized by her estate and her mother, Jan LeCue. LeCue had this to say: "My daughter, Joni Lawler, had a remarkable life. I am excited to partner with a production team who is passionate about telling her true life story, not just the parts that played out in the ring or the tabloids. To that end, I have selected a woman producer to work with who understands the public only knows a small bit of Joni's story. I want to restore her legacy, a legacy that has been tarnished by others. X-Pac. Joni deserves this, and so do her true fans. There is no word yet on when the documentary will be released." So this documentary is going to be like the Queen movie, where they just kind of like wash out the parts that are ugly and they don't want to have in it.
I would assume for the most part, yes. Which also isn't a bad thing as long as there's some of each.
I want China's movie to be produced by Michael Bay.
Nobody wants it.
Just explosions when they get to the sex tape scene.
But I'm excited for this. This will be interesting. She had a very interesting life. The thing I've always found the most fascinating with Joni, from what I've ever seen, is that her as a person was 180 degrees of China.
Yeah.
China was the big, tough, no-nonsense, hard-ass,
and she was
just
soft,
take
gentle,
no bullshit.
Non-confrontational.
Yeah. Very vulnerable, very weak.
Manipulated.
Very weak and yeah, so and not in a negative way, she just was. No. So it's cool to get that out there and let fans see that.
Paige was obviously there at one point in her career too.
Yeah. For sure. So this is neat. This is fun. And another little peek behind the scenes comes from Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle, who were reportedly involved in a verbal backstage altercation before Sunday's pay-per-view. This according to Pro Wrestling Sheet. Apparently, the two superstars passed each other while walking backstage, and a tense encounter came from it. Reports claim Riddle tried talking to Brock, but Brock told Riddle, "Kid, you might as well stop saying my name and tagging me and shit, because you and I will never work together. Ever." I hope he said it like that.
Yeah.
Lesnar said what he had to say and kept things moving. You see, now, for those of you who don't know, Riddle has spoken out against Lesnar for several years, making it clear that he wants to be the one that eventually retires the Beast. And he has said things like, only one person can retire Brock Lesnar, only one person can end his career, and that person's going to be me. He has also said in another interview, I don't like how he does wrestling. I don't like the lack of respect that he shows, and I don't like the work rate that he puts out. That's just my personal opinion. It was also noted that the original Bro was his usual cool and composed self during the altercation, and that tensions never really got too high. And multiple sources are claiming that the encounter between Lesnar and Riddle was real and is not storyline. Allegedly, they both met for the very first time ever in Houston ahead of the Rumble.
That's crazy, because if Matt Riddle probably would have kept his mouth shut, he probably wouldn't have came out the entrant after Lesnar was eliminated from the Rumble. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I would have if I was the booker. Riddle definitely would have been in that front deck with Lesnar.
And I read something which I didn't want to put in the news because I haven't seen it verified anywhere, but I've seen two places that reported that Matt Riddle's being in there for a short amount of time was because Brock Lesnar pushed for that and didn't want him to get much screen time. I don't know that I buy that at all.
I could see it, but a lot of people were in that match for a very short amount of time. So.
Yeah, exactly. 50% of them were. Yeah. More than 50%. So.
Which was great for the pacing. No complaints there, but.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But it's a shame because, quite frankly, an actual worked pro wrestling match I would love to see between Riddle and Lesnar.
You know,
oh my gosh.
I hope Riddle doesn't talk himself out of the company. You know what I mean? Like Enzo did, or like a lot of superstars have done, where their ego, they're still the green young guy who's supposed to be showing respect backstage. And I would really like to see Matt Riddle mature in WWE. I just don't know if that's possible. I think
Agreed.
There needs to be a wrestling promotion for people like Enzo and Riddle, and because they're fun to watch. Just contain them in their own bubble.
Yeah, you get Riddle, you get Enzo, you get ADR. They can start their own company.
Yeah.
We like it.
Yes.
I couldn't figure out who the fuck you were talking about, Miles, but you're talking about ACH.
Yes.
It took me a second. I'm like, Miles? Who the fuck is Miles? Okay, ACH. Gotcha. I never knew him by his name, Jordan Miles, until that T-shirt came out. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's what they called ACH?
There's a lot of three-letter wrestlers that didn't want to fuck it up.
Right.
PCO.
HHH. HBK. There's more.
Van Hammer. That's only 3 letters.
Yeah.
Real name Mark Hildreth. He was arrested for an incident in Boynton Beach, Florida on Sunday. Boynton!
That just sounds like something that
if I go back into the studio, that's going to be one of my track hypes now.
Yeah,
Boynton!
Sounds like something Jerry Lewis used to say in his movies. Oh, waving, Boynton!
All I wanted to do was work with Tim Boynton.
Okay.
According to TMZ, the reports note a former Ravens flock member hit a 5-year-old boy with his car while driving drunk on Sunday. My question is, what was the boy doing out past curfew?
Who said he was out past curfew? It was the middle of the day.
Driving drunk. Usually you would say dark. I don't know. I don't got those problems, though. So live above it, folks. Be like
Boynton!
Boynton!
I love it.
Makes me think of the Idiocracy. Leave me alone, Beaton. Where am I? Boynton Beach police say Hammer was driving 58 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone and was drunk when he hit the young boy who was riding on a bike with training wheels. The boy reportedly flew on top of the hood of Hammer's car and suffered possible internal injuries. He remains in stable condition at a local hospital. An industrial door installer who lives nearby told the Times News he was driving with a friend Sunday when he saw the car strike the child. The father picked the son off the road. The kid was crying. The dad was crying. The guy was out of the car, the man said. I'm looking at the guy. He's getting back in the car. We're yelling at him. Don't you leave. Don't you leave.
Oh, such heroes.
I know. They followed Hildreth after he left the scene of the crash, taking photos and following him home. Hildreth was taken into custody after being found sitting on his front steps. The man who once won the WCW arm wrestling tournament, such a prestigious event.
He fell so far.
Well, he appeared in handcuffs before a judge Monday and was officially charged with first-degree felony hit-and-run and DUI. It was pointed out that Hammer had 2 previous DUI arrests on his record. The bail was set at $125,000 with an option for house arrest, and he was ordered to stay away from drugs, alcohol, and weapons. And probably the car.
Probably the kid, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Van Hammer was just a sad story from the beginning. He had the look. He had everything but it. You know, he could have been a huge star, and in early 90s, WCW
Chris
was
Jericho
pushing.
could have given him it.
He could have. But they were really pushing Van Hammer in early 90s. In fact, they wanted to push him in a feud with Hogan and really get him over, but he just was always missing something. And he didn't miss the kid, though. Nailed him. This is sad. Very sad.
And the kid wasn't it, Van Hammer.
No. But to bring ourselves up from this negativity, we got a bit of positive news, Pasty, and that comes from People.com, who have announced Nikki Bella and Brie Bella are both pregnant and are each due only a week and a half apart.
And it's twins on both ends.
It could be. Nikki got engaged to her former Dancing with the Stars partner, Artem Chigvintsev. Don't know. That happened last November.
After being with a guy like John Cena, the name had to be very different.
Right. They got married last November, and this will be her first child. Now, as for Brie, I think most of us know this is her second child with husband Daniel Bryan. Brie said of the timing, "Wait, twins being pregnant at the same time? People are going to think it's a joke. We were both shocked. People are going to think we planned it, but you can't really plan pregnancy."
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Well, I don't know how you could.
If anybody would do it, the Bellas would do it for TV
I guess you
ratings.
could if you got injected, yeah. Artificial. Nikki added, "It was a total surprise. It even took me a good week to come to terms with it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. I am not ready for it."
Watch next week, John Cena hangs himself. I'll be sad reporting that one.
I'll tell you what, though, it's going to be a lot of people talking if the baby comes out and nobody can see it.
I know right after the news had come out that they got engaged, John Cena made sure to bring his new lady friend out on the town for pictures with the TMZs and stuff.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah.
I still think Cena's winning on this one.
I do find it funny. Yeah, no, definitely. But I do find it funny if Cena is, like, jealous and, like, envious. It's kind of a funny full circle.
Right. Right. Well, those, relationships, they come and they go, Pasty.
Yes, they do, as do many things. And we have many things to talk about here. The biggest news of the week, of course, is a major corporate shakeup is happening behind the scenes at WWE. With co-presidents George Barrios and Michelle Wilson leaving the company. My favorite tennis player. No.
Oh, we love her.
Neither will serve on the board of directors either going forward. Frank A. Riddick III, who has been on WWE's board of 11 years following in the footsteps of his pappy and his pappy's pappy, has been named the interim chief financial officer with the company, searches for a permanent CFO and chief revenue officer.
What?
Riddick will report directly to WWE chairman and CEO Vince McMahon. And thusly we begin the Chronicles of Riddick.
I love it. You stole my joke, but go for it. I wanted to pull out a WWE Chronicles joke, but you got it already.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good that we're both on the same page, but we didn't discuss it ahead of time. I love it.
Got to write the jokes in if you want to hit them.
I know.
Barrios was hired in March 2008 as WWE's CFO. Wilson was hired in February 2009 as Executive Vice President of Marketing. Both worked their way up through the company and had their roles in the launch and development of the WWE Network. This is very